I'm here today with Gabriel Clark, who is a student at the University of Manchester and also playing the role of Ollie Morgan in Channel 4's soap opera Hollyoaks. Hi Gabe, how are you doing?
Hi, I'm all right, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. So you announced around November time that you would be playing Ollie Morgan in Hollyoaks. What was it like when that debut episode aired? Did you sort of sit and watch it?
Yeah, I did. I don't usually watch myself, but it was obviously it's a really big moment, and I'd been filming since the end of August, so it was just really exciting because I'd done so much by the point that my first episode went out. It was nice to actually sort of see what I'd done back in September. So yeah, I sat down with my mum and my brother, and all my family were sitting down in their houses, and it was a bit weird because of lockdown. It was sort of anticlimactic because I think we'd just gone into the second lockdown, so I was just sat at home and all my family were on their like WhatsApp group chats being like, oh, I can see you. But yeah, it was very nice. It was very exciting.
So for those who haven't seen the show, how would you describe the character Ollie Morgan, and do you think you relate to him in any ways?
I think Ollie's quite a sort of cheeky, cocky young guy. He's a little bit unsure of himself at times, and he's been through a lot. He's been forced to mature a lot in the last few years, particularly since he started Hollyoaks. Um, his sort of relationship to family and home is very transitory, and it's often moving around, and I sort of relate to him a lot on that level, I think, because my family are sort of spread across the world, and my mum and dad are split up, and my sort of relationship to family is quite transitory in that sense as well. And also he's like a younger guy, he's trying to figure himself out.
The character does struggle with some themes of addiction. What sort of things do you do to get into character acting out that kind of narrative?
What was important for me was understanding why he was addicted. So going back on the story that Ollie had had since 2018, since joining the show, and doing loads of research on what his life had been like beforehand. And what's great is like, because he joined the show when the character was about 16, the 16 years of his life that we've not seen, that I've been able to sort of, some of it come up with myself. And a lot of addiction is rooted in trauma, I think. And it's often something people turn to when they don't know how to cope with stuff. So that's something that I picked up quite quickly from speaking to different people. And that's something that definitely Ollie is using Cat to get out of his head and get away from the problems that he's not been able to face.
Been in Hollyoaks before in, I think, 2019, playing a different character, obviously a pandemic apart from your role now. What is the difference with the pandemic? How does everything work with filming and things?
It's really, really different. So before the pandemic, filming was just sort of filming. Like, you could be within 2 meters of people. You didn't have to wear masks on set. You didn't have to get temperature tested when you turn up on site. But it's what's good is that we're still able to film. There's so many people who are not able to work at the moment, and particularly within our own industry, it's incredibly difficult. There's not enough support. We're not able to reopen theatres, and a lot of productions aren't able to go ahead. So I'm really, really lucky that I'm able to work, and we are under very, very strict measures which enable us to. And I just feel very lucky that I sort of, I feel like I'm in a safe space when I turn up and you're being tested. Everyone's wearing masks, everyone's following all the rules, and it just means you can work safely, and that's all we want.
You're a full-time student at Manchester in your third year, also working on Hollyoaks. I'm very curious to know, how do you find the time to do everything?
Um, so uh, that's a good question. The time is sometimes not always as easy to find as I'd like it to be, but I know that I've got to get the work done, and I'm just about managing my time, I think. I don't really know if that's a great answer.
Time to like chill, because even just being in third year, I don't have that much time to chill.
I think maybe that's why I had such a long answer. No, I don't. No, I don't think really have that much time to chill at the moment. But
You enjoy, so
yeah, I think that's the main thing. Is like I'm incredibly lucky. It doesn't really feel like work. So my mum keeps saying, "Oh, Gabriel, you need to like make sure you're having fun." But I'm doing what I love as a job, so it doesn't feel like I'm not having fun. It doesn't feel like I'm not having time to sort of do what I enjoy.
So you do drama and English at Manchester. I assume with the English part, there's quite a lot of reading. I was just wondering, if any book were to be sort of made into a TV series, what would be the dream book to act in?
I don't think I'd see myself having a role in it, but something I'm really excited to see on screen, because I'm sure it'll be adapted, is Girl, Woman, Other. It explores 12 women of colour in the UK and their stories and how their lives are sort of intertwined, and it was just beautiful, and I'd love to see that, and yeah, I'd love to watch that be adapted for screen.
Sort of coming on to creative things, you were involved in directing a production, We Won't Fool, which is a sort of dystopian sort of community rebellion type thing. What was that experience like?
That was incredible. That was one of the best things I've ever done in my life. It was a long experience. It started in June 2019 when myself and my colleagues at Switch Manchester met and were discussing what we were going to do next. And over July, we sort of all went away and had like thoughts about what we'd been talking about. And we'd all been sort of talking about like surveillance and the government and all these different things. Sent out this casting call, got an incredible cast, a very large cast, and we had so many people audition. And what was great was it was a devised show around those characters. So we would each week go and workshop different scenarios and different characters and do loads of different exercises. And we were watching these 12 amazing actors bring to life these 12 amazing characters. So when it came to writing it, it was actually so satisfying because I felt like I knew every single person so well because I'd seen them come to life. And yeah, it was brilliant. It was weirdly sort of prophetic though, because the play was about a sort of far right government shutting down the country and putting Manchester into a lockdown because of these protests that are happening. And it was fantastic. I loved it, and I loved directing. It was the first time I directed something that big, and definitely want to direct again.
So you started it before the pandemic had actually happened.
Yeah, way before, and we were so lucky. So we put it on at the end of February, and at that time there was like sort of 5 or 6 cases in the UK, and the week of the show was like the cases were just going up and up and up, and it was quite weird because we were all sort of thinking this is really similar to our show. But yeah, it was all written with no knowledge of what was going to come.
What would be your sort of tips for success and for handling rejection?
It's something that I've struggled with, and I've been auditioning for stuff for years. Like my first ever audition for anything was for Hollyoaks in 2013, and I sort of auditioned for them every year following for different roles. And so you sort of see actors and you think, oh, how do they do it? Like what was it like getting that job? But that's why you see people say, oh, this actor's got their big break. But you think there's so much work that's actually gone into that beforehand that you don't see. Every actor has had hundreds and if not thousands of no's before they get a yes. And a lot of it is learning how to deal with rejection. It's really hard on your mental health sometimes, particularly if you really, really want a role and you've put a lot of work into it. I find it really hard, I think. But what was good for me was when I started with Switch, with our theatre company, and we're making our own stuff. So I think maybe the best advice I'd give is always have something that you're doing that you love, that no one can take away from you. So start making your own work, even if it's just picking up your phone and like making a short film yourself. Cast yourself in your own things, like, because then you're not going to be told no.
What would you say has been the biggest highlight of being in Hollyoaks, being Ollie Morgan? What's been the best moment?
Oh my god, there's so many. I mean, the people are just absolutely amazing at work. Like the cast and crew are fantastic, and what I love is like just sort of driving in every morning and getting to go and sit in hair and makeup. And I mean, we have to do our own hair and makeup ourselves because of COVID, but being able to just sort of chat to people and have that element of normality. And the fans as well are just so lovely. Like I had some fans last week send me some chocolates and a card, and they're just like, I think because it's such a big show, it does feel a little bit like jumping on a moving train when you start. But what was lovely was everyone was there to help me find my feet. And then by the time the episodes had gone out, I'd been there for a few months, and then the fans just sort of being so lovely in the way they sort of respond to the work. Yeah, the fans and the people, it's just all about the people. The people at work and the people who support the work that we make.
How and in what ways has your life changed since being on the show? Is it much different or?
No, is the short answer. This is sort of, I think, when you sort of get a job like this, like I was presented with this big pack when I started, and one of the first things it says on it is like your life is about to change, and sort of it was quite daunting to read, but it sort of says that like, oh, you know, like going out, like your life's going to change, you'll be recognized and all of this, and I've not been anywhere because of lockdown, and like people at work were saying to me, oh, how's it been since you've been on screen? Because Hollyoaks has got such a big fan base that sort of the fans are everywhere, and I've not been anywhere. So my life literally hasn't changed at all. The only thing that's changed is I'm a little bit busier than I was before lockdown. But now I'm still doing uni, still live at home with my mum and my brother, and I can't go out anywhere.
Maybe the fans. Have you had more fans than before?
Yeah, I mean that's probably the biggest thing that's changed is online, like social media, and that I found a bit weird at first because I'm sort of that generation where I had about 10 years of my life growing up before social media existed, and then since I've been about 13, it's been a part of my life. Like I've always used like Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram and stuff, and suddenly it actually is really weird. Like the form of communication you're used to using suddenly fundamentally changing, and many more people being interested in what you have to say and what you're doing. That's been a bit strange.
Do you find that there's like a pressure of responsibility that comes with that?
Yeah, I think it's really important that if you've got a platform, I think it's important to use it to raise awareness of things that are important and things that are happening, and not be silent on those things.
Been great. Thank you very much, Gabe.
Thank you. Have a lovely afternoon.
Yes, you too. Bye.
Bye.